Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a Hot Wheels casting called the 2 Jet Z. It looks like a little dirt track racer, but it's got a couple small wings on the back and a jet engine too. I like the World War II fighter jet teeth on the side. This is my entry to this month's Four Horsemen Invitational on the theme Mars Crawler. The Four Horsemen are the Diecast Graveyard, Diecast Show Customs, myself at Maple Leaf Customs, and this month's guest horseman, Diecast Media Network. You can see next month's casting, the 74 Torino. Remember, everybody's always invited to participate, and if you do, please send us a high-quality glamour shot to fourhorsemendiecast@gmail.com, and we'll include you and your channel name and your work in a recap video. This is the smoked glass cockpit, and I want you to keep an eye on that because I'm going to show you a trick later on how I darken these. The one-piece plastic interior with those exterior wings attached to it, and it's a metal base in this case. Now, what to do to turn this into a Mars crawler? That opens up all kinds of possibilities. Can't wait to see what everybody does. According to the Hot Wheels Fandom site, this is based on the real-life 2 Jet Z, which was entirely hand-built by Louis Rodriguez. The original car was the winner of the 2018 Hot Wheels Legends Tour. I'm rifling through my trash bash bin now, looking for some space junk, because I'd like to put a little Mars diorama together with this presentation, maybe a charging station. That's all part of the fantasy and the creativity that we get to unleash with these special builds. Keep an eye out for that at the end of the video. Continuing with my seasonal theme of mail calls, I've got a Corvette Stingray from iRefix Diecast and a 98 Monte Carlo that's going to be part of a buddy build together with Gary Shorter. And I'm wrapping up 2022 with a limited run of 10 custom 55 Chevy Bel Airs that I'm going to offer for sale. So get all subbed up to the channel and I'll keep you posted with all the updates. I'm not going to be using the original wheels, and because this is a metal base, I need to remove them by cutting the axles. And I do that with a cutting disc attachment on my Dremel tool. It's pretty quick and easy, but I want to remind you again, be sure to use safety glasses whenever you're using power tools in this hobby. It's a good safe practice, and it's common sense. There's no 98-cent casting that's worth your eyesight. I use a sanding drum to file down the nubs on the bottom of the metal chassis because I want to put some axle tubes under there. Those are going to serve to raise the casting and give me a little more ground clearance over those Mars rocks. I've decided to go with 3 axles and 6 wheels. I used the super glue initially just as sort of a tack welding approach. Once that's centered and level and straight, then I put a little sprinkle of baking soda on top, and that gives it a cement-like bond instantaneously. To ensure an extra good hold here, I put another application of super glue on top of that baking soda. Those are as secure as possible now. I put the axle inside the tubes just to make sure they're spinning freely, and they sure are. Quick dry fit to make sure I've got them leveled before I proceed, and everything looks good to go. This week's community shout out goes to CD Scale Models. I'd invite you to follow the link in the description to check out this YouTube channel and see some great Revell models and other brands. You'll enjoy it a lot. Did you know that the actual Mars rover, called the Perseverance, traveled 470 million kilometers for nearly 8 months to reach its destination? It landed on the 18th of February 2021. It's drilling for rock samples that contain biosignatures, and we hope to get those back to Earth as soon as 2031. I've 3D printed my own Mars crawler wheels in 13mm size. Again, more ground clearance. I file down the rough glue attachments and give the chassis a shot of flat black paint. I had a thought here, making use of a Christmas candy gold foil wrapper that I thought had the appearance of some of these intergalactic vehicles that I've seen, but I deep-sixed that pretty quickly because it covered up all of the nice rivets and detail that are part of the 2Jet Z. So it's back to the traditional paint stripping and the other steps that I normally take to customize a car. So I brush off the old Hot Wheels paint and take it over to my adjacent workbench and go to work on the bare metal detail. A pretty small casting, so this didn't take too long. Another reason to wear safety goggles, everybody, is because these wire brush attachments wear out so quickly, so I keep a good supply of those on hand. No use using the old ones after they reach that stage. Gray primer goes on first. Be sure to let that set up well so that subsequent coats adhere properly, followed by a black base coat, which always makes a metallic gold top coat sparkle a little bit more than it would otherwise. Another dry fit, as I often do, to ensure a good fit. This is another Mars rover from the Matt Damon film Martian. I enjoyed the book and the film. Here's that smoke glass cockpit that I started with. The trick here, if you want it to be dark, is spray it from the inside. That'll black it out, and you'll retain the outside glossiness or shine. Give it a try. Back to my space junk collection. I'm cleaning up these two squares, which will be solar panels or communication uplinks or something like that on the rover. I've got a couple of ideas for a Mars surface diorama. I start on a rounded corkboard, lay down some Mod Podge and a heavy serving of playground sand, and some craft store pebbles on top of that. Everything gets a healthy dose of rust-colored paint, and here I'm making a couple of meteor impact craters. Some more craft store rocks. These are sidewalk pastel chalks that I've crushed down into a powder, and I'm going to sprinkle that around for some Mars dust. It's starting to take on the appearance that I want it to. Now I'm making a charging station, just using some imagination here and some of those bits and bobs that I salvaged out of my junk box. I found another use for the gold foil. It's going to cover this cube that's part of the electronic equipment that landed on Mars, along with the rover. Dusting to bring out the highlights and some more stuff glued on there. I'll just place them randomly on the surface so the rover can recharge whenever it needs to. Now my 3D printed wheels get a quick paint job, and I'll let those dry off to the side. I apply them like this. Remember, the axle spins freely inside the tube, and so the wheels are affixed permanently to the axle. Make sure they don't stick. And it's a great roller. Now I'm going to use a little bit of Mars-colored makeup on the 3D printed wheels to make it look like it's been doing a few laps around the red planet. And it's time for decals, starting with the MLC 194 call numbers, some tracking tape, and to indicate a joint galactic effort between Canada and Switzerland, my two countries, I want those flags to appear on the side. Putting it all back together was simple and straightforward because of all the dry fits that I've done throughout the process. The blacked out cockpit goes in first over that post. You can see I painted the interior black as well as those wings that show on the outside. And there's my new 3-axle chassis. Couple of screws where it's been drilled out hold it all back together. These are 256 size Phillips head self-tapping screws that I like to use. I always make sure everything is moving freely as it should. No worries in this case. And I'm almost done except for the solar panels, which go on at the very end with a touch of super glue and about 10 seconds of patience while I hold them in place. Finito. Let's have a closer look. I like the Mars appropriate gold metallic against the black in a monochromatic scheme that I've got going here. The most obvious modification are the 3 axles and the solar panels. And I think it's made for a nice conversion from a 2-Jet Z dirt track racer to a Mars Rover. Leave a respectful comment below and tell me what you think of this transformation. There's a look back at what I started with a couple of days prior to this. And the finished product, ready to do some drilling for some rock samples, or just cruising the strip on a Friday night. Blacked out cockpit, you can't really see Elon Musk sitting in there, and I did refrain from putting a Tesla logo on the very nose. There's a little diorama to give you the complete picture. I want to thank you for visiting my channel today, and make sure you visit all of the other Mars crawler builds. There will be a bunch of them. Drive carefully. It's coffee time.